Out on track right now then, we've got qualifying for the Transatlantic Trophy pre-66 touring cars, but the rain is falling again. So the conditions are getting mighty difficult. So windscreen wipers are going to be an important factor here as we're looking at the number 20 Mini of Endaf Owens. But we've got a real good selection of cars once again. Plenty of Ford Lotus Cortinas. We've got the odd Ford Mustang and Falcon Sprint. We've got plenty of Minis, and we've also got the odd Alfa Julia Sprint. We've got a BMW 1800 Ti out there, and then we've also got a few more Mustangs. So it is a mixture. It is a mixture of cars, but again, it's pre-66 touring cars basically, when it was the British Saloon Car Championship. The days of 1964, 1965, Jim Clark dominated in the works Lotus Cortina in 1964, and there is a Lotus Cortina, suitably enough, heading down towards us. Car number 133, Alberta Vella. That is a 1965 car, and it was that sort of machine that Jim Clark dominated the championship in 1964. Finished second in the first race of the year at Snetterton. And of course there were slightly different classes in those days as well. The Ford Galaxy, Jack Brabham actually won the race at Snetterton, but Clark took maximum points in his class in every round that year. But the Galaxies had lots of success, but with different F1 drivers who were competing in them, so they didn't get to win the championship. And as you can see, plenty of Lotus Cortinas for us to enjoy in different colour schemes here. There's a Mustang as well, just in behind them. That's the number 72 Lotus Cortina of Roy Alderslade. We saw actually Roy Alderslade earlier on with Andrew Jordan, one of the other races, doing very well in qualifying. So let's see how he gets on there. The two Lotus Cortinas running side by side there, which is fun to watch. These were the original Lotus Cortinas, of course, and that combination of Ford and Lotus was very significant in terms of engines as well. Dave Coyne's just gone fastest in car number 74. He's driving a Ford Mustang, so he's done well in the Mustang to be able to keep the balance with the powerful machine in these rather slippery, wet conditions. Number 3 there, that's Richard Dutton, the boss of Fortec Motorsport for so many years. And it's lovely to see him back out as a racing driver again, having helped and supported many racing drivers, and still doing so throughout his career.
And Richard's good mates with Neil Brown as well, who we mentioned earlier. Neil in this race as well, in his Lotus Cortina, he's running number 2. But Richard Dutton, well known for his sideways driving style, and I think we saw an example of it there.
Yeah, nice to see that. Yeah, good car control from Richard. And yeah, I caught up with him briefly at Snetterton earlier this year when the touring cars meeting was up there, and there he is, wobbling it around a little bit on the corner entry. Now looking for the exit, or a bit of oversteer on exit. Yep, nice sliding out of Brooklands there. Flick it into Luffield. Let's see how sideways he can get it on the way out of Luffield. Still very slippery now that we've had that little bit more rain. That's nice, good control out of Luffield. So Coyne is currently fastest. Davis, that's Craig Davis in the Ford Mustang. So we've got 2 Mustangs up there now, first and second currently. David Gooding in another one, third. So they're going well. Then Richard Dutton, the man we're watching in the Lotus Cortina. So he's top of the Lotus Cortinas so far. And then number 192, it's again that same old pairing of Julian Thomas and Callum Lockie. This time they're in a Ford Falcon. So I mentioned the Ford Falcon as being one of the front-running cars as well, and that's what they're sharing in this one. They are currently in 6th place. For the moment, we're keeping an eye on this Richard Dutton car.
And in the background we saw a brief glimpse of the red and gold car. That's our man Steve Soper again, sharing with Henry Mann in the Ford Mustang. We'll no doubt see that at the top of the timing screens, or at least near the top at some point. As we watch Richard Dutton, and you can see how dark it is with those headlights picked out and the spray coming off the car.
We've got some pretty impressive touring car drivers in this race, haven't we, Alistair? Because not only have we got Steve Soper, we've got Andy Prio as well entered in this race, number 99 in the Ford Mustang. Is that
Mustang? Yes.
Yeah. So
multiple world champion.
Yeah, multiple world champion and European champion. Then went on to race at Le Mans and stuff. So Andy Prio he'll be out. I don't know if he's in his car yet, but we shall see how he gets on. We've got some more minis, plenty of minis in various different races this weekend. One of them, by the way, an additional entry, number 885, Dominic Holland and Marcus Holland in a mini, not on the original entry list. Number 179, David Gooding, also added to the entry list. There's number 166, Rob Fenn, sharing the car with James Barkley. That's another of the Mustangs.
We saw Rob out earlier in his Lotus Elan as well. I noticed there the Mustang was stopped at the side of the track as the rain absolutely teeming down.
Belting down now. I mean, we can hear it banging down on our commentary box roof right now. See the water streaming from every angle pretty much. So this is going to be difficult. So I can't see people going any quicker. They're going to have got that lapping soon. So I think this might work well for Dave Coyne, because I don't know whether anybody's going to be able to improve. He's already come into the pits, Coyne, probably deciding, well, I'm not going to be able to go any quicker in these conditions, so I might as well go in and not risk the car, which I can totally understand. Also, having come in is David Gooding in his Mustang. You're looking at the Ford Mustang of Craig Davis here. Very pretty machine indeed. And he's been quite cautious, as you can see. He's not really sliding the car around too much. Not a lot of point now, because I think the laps that they have done could well be their decisive laps, couldn't they?
That suggests that the Mustang I saw parked at the side of the track in similar colours, the Ironman racing colours, will be the Steve Soper Henry Mann car, unfortunately.
Ooh, we got a spinner.
That's the Lark Daytona, isn't it?
Yeah, of Adrian Wilmot and Mark Farmer.
Oh, one going straight off, yeah.
Yeah, it's very tricky now.
That's aquaplaning, isn't it?
Off Roy Alderslade's car. Yeah, you're right. Just that's hitting a puddle and basically sliding away. Not much he could do about that. It is just too wet out there again now. What a day of changing conditions we have seen at Silverstone today, from dry track to fully wet, and then it's dried up again generally, and then now again we've gone absolutely pouring rain.
Another spinner down at Club as well, Ben.
Dear, oh dear.
Just picked up on the camera there. That's one of the Falcons, number 77.
Adam Brindle.
Adam Brindle, yeah. So that clearly the section out of Club Corner is very tricky indeed.
Yeah, we've seen a number of spins there, haven't we? Let's have a look at how this happened. I don't think he got a push. It was close, wasn't it?
It looked like it.
He got on the curb too much. I think that was the problem. Just got too much wheel spin off the curb. Then almost in front of somebody. And then the Lotus Cortina went off in the background. Nothing to do with it. Just hitting a puddle at the wrong moment. So there we go. That's a bit worrying. Yellow flag and safety car is out. So we've got a safety car now. No surprise. I don't know if they're a car in a dangerous position, or whether they've just decided to put the safety car out to slow everybody down. Number 31, the Mini there, is the Giles Page Nick Padmore car. So that will be competitive in its class, I'm sure.
I've just noticed on our timing screen another extra driver, which is interesting, is the car number 66. It's only done, it's on its out lap, so we haven't got a time for it yet. Neil McFadden has Hancock, I would guess Sam Hancock again, because he shared with Neil earlier, didn't he? So that's another really top driver in this race to join all the others we've been mentioning, including Le Mans winner Guy Smith, who's out with his dad, Peter Smith, in the Lotus Cortina number 71.
There is Dave Coyne. Actually, he was in the pits, but he's decided to come back out again, which kind of surprises me, because I can't imagine he's going to be able to go much quicker than he's already gone. But there he is in number 74, the Ford Mustang, and lovely livery, sort of running it quite wide around the edge there. But he's probably just looking to see where is their grip. I remember watching him around Brands Hatch in the wet. He was always brilliant at finding the driest bit of a wet track. That's always been a major part of his driving skill, and he's always had great car control as well. So a number of cars all trying to find their way, but you can see it's very unstable out there in these conditions. Bit of a worry. Safety car will be slowing them down. There is the number 132 car that we saw having that spin out of the final turn earlier on. The Studebaker Lark Daytona. Unusual machine, but fun to see.
Yeah, that came out at Thruxton earlier this year, actually, and that may have been the first time out for the car. And it's a real handful. And we've got the safety car there through the murk, leading the cars around.
It's quite fun looking back to 64 and 65, because the 64, it was the Lotus Cortina with Jim Clark that won the championship, won the class and won the championship outright. But the following year it was the Ford Mustang with Roy Pierpoint, because the Cortinas dominated the 2-litre class, but the wins were split between Jim Clark and Jack Sears. So they kind of, they didn't stay with one always scoring the maximum points. So Roy Pierpoint was able to take the championship in a Mustang that year. And it looks like we've got a bit of a similar battle. You know, we've got Mustangs versus Lotus Cortinas, haven't we, up there? The Mustangs have definitely been a little stronger, but there's not a lot in it. That is the lead car. But look at the rain. Just look at how it's pouring down and leaving huge amount of surface water now on the track.
Bouncing off the track, isn't it?
It is, and his window is misting up as well. Little windscreen wiper's doing its best, but he's not going that quickly, I have to say, sensibly, because otherwise it would be very easy to damage the car. And you know, when you've got potential provisional pole position, as he has, not much point in damaging the car, is there? You want to keep it clean for tomorrow. They have got a race on Saturday. It's going to be at 4:10 in the afternoon. Pit stop. It's a 45-minute race, and some very quick drivers that we have seen. They're likely to be the second drivers in the race, so we might see a real turnaround from the order in the early part of the race to the order in the second part. Mind you, I think Dave Coyne is driving on his own, isn't he? Yes, he is. There's a few guys at the top of that list that are doing it all themselves, so there won't be too much of a pace difference between before and after the pit stops with the same driver. With some of the setups, you will see a bit of a different pace before and after, but it does allow for some exciting racing, and you'll see some of those quick drivers that take over a car that might be a little bit midfield suddenly surging their way through to the front. The Steve Soper car we can see is down in 21st place. I don't think Steve has been in that car yet. And the problem with this session, actually, I'm just thinking, you know, there hasn't been much chance to swap drivers around yet, has there?
I was about to say, actually, I think we might see some of the shared cars going out in this rain simply to get the second driver
just to do the 3 laps.
To do the 3 laps, yes.
So that's part of the rules, isn't it? You're meant to do 3 laps, even if it's behind safety car, it still counts.
Yeah, that's right, and that's why we're seeing cars going out. It doesn't answer why Dave Coyne's going round.
No, because he's not sharing it.
I think you've got the answer to that. He's looking for the puddles.
Yeah, maybe.
And he'll put those into his brain and use them tomorrow if it's wet.
I tell you what, the rain coming down right now, it's beating down on the roof of our commentary box, making a huge roar, and looking out over the circuit, I mean, it's more like a river. It looks like we should be watching Olympic canoeing rather than historic racing right at this moment. I think a canoe and a paddle would be the ideal thing out there.
I think the Mini drivers, they won't be happy because they don't want it to be wet like this, but they'll be thinking this is our chance.
Yes,
because the Minis will go well in the wet.
Yeah, they will.
Compared to the wider tired, bigger cars.
Yeah, you actually want narrow tyres to cut through the water when it's like this. A wider tyre is more likely to aquaplane. So, mind you, most of these pre-66 cars don't have particularly wide tyres. The Mustangs will have slightly bigger tyres. There you can see a little Mini. Of course, they are originally on the 10-inch wheels, tiny little wheels. Always a joy to watch. There are still a few cars out there, but I'm sure that's what's going on. It is the second drivers who are just trying to get their regulatory 3 laps under the belt so that the car is then valid to start the race with both drivers. I think that's what we're seeing, and that's why the safety car situation remains, and they haven't actually red flagged it. And I'm sure everybody's just thinking, just take it easy, go nice and steady, don't rush round, but just make it sensible. Mark Davenport and Luke Davenport are sharing car number 41, for example, so I think one of them did the earlier stint, now the other one is just doing the 3 laps, and hopefully going to stay on the circuit. So still under safety car conditions here right now. 8 minutes to go. We've still got a couple more qualifying sessions to come, so it's not an easy afternoon, that's for sure, but I guess at least it's not racing. Just one more now, is it? Okay. Yeah, just the one more, right. So we're running pretty well. Number 99, another of the Mustangs there. That's the that is the car that Andy Prio's driving this weekend, actually. So it's a good one to recognise. To see, I don't think they're going to have a representative time. They're 23rd at the moment. It's a long, long way down the grid, but it could be fun to see what Andy Prio can do when he's in the machine in the race tomorrow. Very, very talented driver, and as you mentioned, Steve Soper as well is also in this one. Currently down in 21st. Funnily enough, actually, Steve Soper, well, their cars, they may not go out at the same time, but it'd be great if they do, because they'll be virtually together on the grid. That'd be fun, wouldn't it?
And how many laps has Steve Soper done? Because I thought that car was parked up earlier on.
Right, it's a good point. Yes, it looks like they've only done one lap so far, that car.
I think that must be the car I saw just briefly in camera shot, was to the left of the camera.
Okay.
So that might be a problem.
That might be a problem in terms of qualifying. Number 101, the Mini there. That's the Stephen Woodrow car. Very nice blue and white livery. Just look how dark and gloomy it looks out there. Here we are, 6 o'clock in the afternoon, or the early evening, I should say, here at Silverstone in the midsummer, coming towards the end of July, about to go into August, and yet we've got pouring rain and headlights on, and cars going very, very gently just to make sure they complete a sufficient number of laps to allow to start the race. So not ideal situation, I'm afraid, for everybody, but it's just the way it goes. And we are at least being able to see some of these lovely cars that were racing so competitively in the early 1960s or mid-90s. Most of these cars are from 1964, 1965. You've got a couple of 1963 cars. Neil Brown's Lotus Cortina is one of the early ones. The Lotus Cortina sort of appeared in 1963, I think. They also had a Cortina 1500 GT, but then the Lotus twin cam powered car was the one that really made the scene work, you know, and won many races in their class anyway, particularly as we mentioned in 1964, as Jim Clark took that title. Won the race at the end of the year actually at Oulton Park. John Rhodes in the Mini was very strong that year. Paddy Hopkirk raced the Mini at one point as well. More of a rally driver.
Yeah, and the opposite way around for Jim Clark, because obviously a racing driver, but hopped into a Cortina to do a rally and would have won, but he actually went off the road and hit a tree, and the car had to be retired. But he
that was remarkable, wasn't it?
Absolutely,
because
amazing.
The skills of rallying and racing are very different, and it's very difficult to do that transfer. But yes, remarkable driver all round. Indeed, yeah, indeed. He had a few crashes on his
He
way.
did, didn't he? I think we saw a picture of Neil Brown in the pits there, just talking to his team. As we look at the 126, Colin Souter, Gary Culver, they race in classic Ferraris, 60s and 70s. Got together with Mustang. It's Richard Dutton, who we were looking at the beginning of the session.
Yeah, he's done well. He's qualified fourth, and it's only him driving this car, so he doesn't need to share it or get somebody else out in it. So he's having a little bit of a chat, and I think he's pretty happy with where he is. It's a good effort. Alfa Romeo just coming through the shot there as well. There's only a couple of those entered into the event for this one.
And one of them a potential winner, the Andrew and Max Banks car, the Giulia Sprint GTA, is often one of the cars that's battling for the lead of the race.
Okay.
Sometimes might be outgunned here at Silverstone.
We'll keep an eye on it. Number 9 back in the pits. That's the Craig Davis car, Ford Mustang, and that is currently second fastest. So we've got our top two sitting in the pits at the moment. Dave Coyne, Craig Davis is there. We've seen Richard Dutton also sitting in the pits. The safety car leading the cars around at this stage. The number 36 car is the car immediately behind. That's the Jonathan Evans Toby Barlow Ford Mustang 64 car. And there's another of the delightful Minis, number 48, Peter James and Chris Snowden sharing that one.
With only 2 3/4 minutes to go, and the safety car still out on the track, it's not looking great for any more quick times, but going back to why these drivers are out there, it might be that the safety car was put out to give them a chance to go out to do their mandatory qualification laps.
We've got a Mini well up in the order, you know. Endaf Evans is 5th at the moment in his Mini. So when you consider, you know, we've got the Mustangs, Lotus Cortinas, etc. You said, you know, in these conditions the Mini's going to be strong. Well, he's right up there in 5th place in a Mini. That's impressive. Car number 20.
And Ian Curley as well. That's another Mini.
Yeah.
He's 10th.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and I think
Aaron Smith is up there too.
Yeah.
In 8th place. He's in another one, isn't he? So, yeah, we've got a few Minis that are definitely proving to be competitive in these tricky conditions where getting the power down is going to be a real challenge. But as I say, we don't know quite what's going to be. There is our man who is provisionally on pole position. Looks as though that's, oh dear, off into the gravel trap. Neil Glover or Jason Green, I'm not sure who's actually driving the car at the moment. They are sharing it. They're quite a long way down the order, and he's popped it into the gravel trap. There's only a minute and a bit to go, and he's asking for a bit of help. There's no way you can drive it out. Too much wheel spin. It's well dug into the gravel there. But there you go, this is Silverstone, and if you do go off in sort of classic car, hopefully you do just end up either on some more tarmac or into some gravel. And hopefully not too much damage is done. Mind you, you don't want the car bashed too much by the gravel when you go off. There's the Mini we were looking at earlier, the Stephen Woodrow car. It's a little further down the order, I believe. And there's the number 192 machine of Julian Thomas and Callum Lockie. Now that car's done well. That's actually up into 6th place, as expected. The Ford Falcon with that pairing, a pairing that have been driving all sorts of cars so far today in different conditions, different feel to each of the cars, and yet they've been competitive in just about everything they've been out in. We're going to see the checker flag coming out shortly, and hopefully everybody will have done their sufficient number of laps to make sure they're allowed to start the race, rather than have to go to race control. There's one of the Alphas you mentioned. That's the Xavier Tancon car, the 1600 1965 Alfa Romeo Julius Sprint GTA. That's a lovely car to see out on circuit.
And those types of Alphas were really very successful in touring cars in Europe for many years. And a great design, very pretty car.
Yeah. David Gooding at the back of this group in that blue Mustang, and he's done well so far. He's up in 3rd place, so he's going to be one of the contenders in the race tomorrow. Whether it's wet or dry, he's still going to be a contender. As we have a quick look at number 170, Marcus Jewell. This is the car he's sharing with Ben Klukas. That is starting 14th. Ben Klukas, rapid driver. I'm not sure he got a chance to do full-on times, so we'll see. But that's it. Nobody's going to change, obviously. We've been under safety car. Those times were set very early on. All of the lap times actually were set on either lap 1 or lap 2. All those fastest laps. They've done a total, most of them, of about 5 or 6 laps, particularly those who've stayed out behind the safety car. But the fastest lap was really on the first lap, before the rain was fully down.